Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wildhorse adoption program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Hey friends, welcome to this episode of my podcast. Today is Friday, January 16th, 2026. It is about 7 a.m. I don't know if you can see outside. It's still kind of dark out, but probably light enough for me to see. I am going to put on a headlamp. For one thing, I have been working with Bragi about, when he gets startled about something, and it doesn't take much to startle him, to help him calm down. So in other words, the pressure doesn't go away, it doesn't increase either, most of the time. It just stays there until he finds the right answer, which is often just looking at me and settling down, and then I'll take it away. So I don't know if I'll get to demonstrate that for you this morning. I think I demonstrated it last time. And sometimes the pressure increases, like if he starts pacing or something like that. I will increase the pressure a little bit, and then when he stops, then it goes away. I have been working with him on that this week. And so we'll see how that goes. Today is my day off, although I did end up working a little bit this morning, mostly because it's not end of year, it's beginning of year, but our fiscal staff is wrapping up stuff for 2025, so all the end of year invoices have to be accrued. So, and I got one after I shut down my computer yesterday, and so I submitted it this morning, and I am waiting for another big one, but I think I have until Tuesday, I hope. Monday, excuse me, is Martin Luther King Day, so I have that off. Can you see? Yeah, you can see that it's getting light out there, and hopefully you can see that it's light enough for me to see. Although I doubt it. I will turn on my headlamp here as we go down the driveway toward the barn. Oops, that's red. I must be pressing the wrong button, because I have the red light going, but not the... it's helpful if I do this when I'm not trying to film. So, I don't know whether I'm going to get to show you my thing with Bragi or not. So let me stop here, figure this out. Okay, well, that took longer than necessary. Like I said, it's much easier to figure that stuff out when you're still in the house and not walking down the driveway in the dark. So we'll see how Bragi feels about this. I'll have an update about Odin and how his fancy glue-on shoes went. I have a new, is it a cast on when you're crocheting something? But a little bit of a spoiler alert. I am crocheting my wedding shawl. Oh, there's Bragi. He's looking at me. Hi, buddy. Is that okay this morning? He's not snorting. So I'm going to take the headlamp away from him. I don't suppose the wedding shawl is really a spoiler alert since that's the title of my episode. So, hey, buddy. You didn't mess up with your game. Okay. Now he's starting to pace. So, hey, okay, he looked at me. So we take it away. Okay, well, I will catch up with you during the knitting or crocheting part of the episode. Hey friends, I have a confession to make. How many, and first I'll ask the question, do any of you still have your holiday decorations up? I do. We do. We still have our Christmas tree up. We still have the stockings hung. I'm ready for the stockings to be put away. I'm ready for the other holiday decorations to be put away, but the Christmas tree with the lights is just really a source of comfort while it is still quite dark. We are not yet at 5 p.m. sunsets. I'm going to look and see right now what time the sun sets. Sun sets at 4:44 here, and the sun rises, I have to look on tomorrow morning, at 7:53. So while we're getting close to 9 hours of daylight, it's not quite here yet. I admit I'm getting closer to being ready to take down the Christmas tree, but not quite yet. There has been a noticeable difference in light, the amount of daylight that we're getting. My computer with my notes just turned off, and that's making me a little unhappy. So anyway, it might be up for a little bit, and it hasn't lost any leaves yet. It's still slurping up water and all that kind of stuff. I may not get my computer to turn back on, so stand by. I don't know why. It's 100% battery. Maybe it wants to update. While at work earlier this week, I had a meeting with a colleague who was going to show me how to use some new software. And he said, and just as we were about to meet and we had a jam-packed agenda, his computer decided to update. And he says that he uses a Apple product like a MacBook or something like that for his personal computer because it politely asks when you want to update instead of just saying, I'm going to update now, whether or not you're in the middle of a presentation or needing to meet with somebody. So anyway, I don't know what its problem is. I'll just pay more attention to it, perhaps. So on to the knitting stuff. What am I wearing? I am wearing the Lovenote sweater. This is the second one I knit. You might remember that this was from Repurposed Yarn. I knit a different sweater with mohair in a similar color. This is a hand-dyed yarn from Nativity. And I ended up not liking that other sweater, so I decided to rip it out and knit another Lovenote. So I call this one the Lovenote 2. If you're interested in the other Lovenote, by Tin Can Knits. You can find it on my project page. Just search for Lovenote and you should be able to pull up both of them. I could test that right now. Projects. Love. Yep, there it is. So the other one is more of kind of a, it's got a lot of rust and kind of a mint green in it, but still very pretty. So anyway, back to the regularly scheduled program. Let me share the status of my whips right now. So I brought a few things up to share. I did not bring the Talvinen sweater by Caitlin Hunter because I'm still working on the first sleeve and I haven't even got to the colorwork section yet. I did bring up the Wildwood shawl. This is a pattern by Kay Jones. So it's a garter stitch shawl that originally, it was a mystery knit along for Advent season, and it's striped. So it's very pretty, the way that I did it, very pretty blue, but I'm kind of thinking I'm going to rip it out and maybe make something else with it, like a garment, like a t-shirt or something like that, because I think I have enough yarn. The yarn I'm using is a Knit Picks. It's either gloss or I think it's Stroll. It's in the colorway Clarity. I used another ball of this for a tee that I made from the Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn by Stephanie Lotvin, who also goes by Tellybean Knit. So I'm kind of thinking I might find another pattern out of her book, maybe a cardigan where the sleeves are self-striping yarn. So I haven't frogged it yet. I brought also, and that bag was made by my partner, my fiance, I should say. So he has an industrial sewing machine and he made this for me for Christmas a couple years ago. It's getting worn out because it's faux leather and it just means it's well loved. So this, I keep showing the wrong side. This has a pretty stitching on it. I hope you can see the pretty stitching. This was a Christmas present from my mom. It's a quilted bag. The inside is lined with the batik fabric and also I think this is a hand-dyed fabric. So you can see those two together. And these have the Vanilla is the New Black socks. I am on the heel of the second sock. This is an Advent yarn by Legacy Fiber Artz from last year. I don't remember the colorway exactly, but here's the ribbed heel. I love this heel. I think the colorway is like Christmas Lights Repair Shop or something like that. Very pretty. I love it. I have been solely working on that wedding shawl, but I may need some other things to work on because I've been working on it for my morning knitting and also in the evening. I'm using Chowgu, the mini twists, I think is what they are. It's an interchangeable set of needles. And I'm either using a 2.25 millimeter, I think I'm using the 2.25 millimeter in this. I'm using the 2.5 millimeter in another pair of socks that I started, haven't made a lot of progress on. And those socks are by Summer Lee. Does that sound right? That was a book that one of my viewers, thank you very much, Anne, gave me last summer when I injured my second shoulder. Shoulders are doing great, by the way. So it's been just over a year that I injured this one. So, I mean, I still have some soreness. I'm still doing exercises to strengthen and improve coordination, but honestly, I don't really notice. So I hope you have something nice to drink. I'm working on my third cup of tea. I think this one's decaf. What else did I bring up here? Oh, I brought up a pair of socks that were in hibernation, and then I started knitting on them again.
before I decided I was going to knit a wedding shawl. How many times can I say wedding shawl without actually showing you? So this bag, also made by my mom, this is a very simple drawstring bag, so there's no quilting or anything. And this fabric she bought in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, when we went up there. My sister and I went up there. So I'm knitting in this bag Charlotte Stone. These, I'm knitting the socks that are on the cover. I think they're Purr-fect, P-U-R-R socks. I have my notes in front of me. Purr-fect colorwork socks. So I have done the heel flap and turn. I think this is a short row heel, and I'm working on the colorwork section. And I'm using just the tiniest scraps of yarn for this. In fact, I think for this last kitty, which I'm showing you upside down, I had just enough yarn left over for the contrast to weave in my ends. So I'm using a West Yorkshire Spinners ball of yarn that Harley got a hold of, so it's a mess, but it still works. And for the kitties, I'm using this bag of leftover yarns. So I can use like these little bits for a contrast color. So I'm doing that. So for example, if I wanted to use that, I would use this for the main kitty face color and this for the eyes and whiskers and nose. So it uses up a very small, in fact, I have this one that I'm going to pair with maybe this color. So I think I have 2 more kitties to knit on the first sock, and then I can do the toe. I'll have to figure that out. So I did the cuff in a contrast color, but I don't think I'm going to do anything else. In fact, the cuff is a much sturdier yarn, and which is fine. I'll make the second one the same, but I wouldn't do that again. So just note to self. And finally, can we talk about the wedding shawl? So this is in another bag that my mom gave me for Christmas that I don't think you have seen yet. So this is the fruits and vegetables bag, another quilted bag with a drawstring top. It has the batik fabric on the inside, very bright colors. I love it. So this shawl, I decided to crochet it. Let me back up. And this kind of gets into wedding planning, which I was planning on talking about later. So my best woman sent me a picture of her dress, and and she wants to somewhat match mine. So it has some bright pink, like tropical flowers. So it's a pretty loud dress, which is fine because my dress is a bright pink cocktail dress. And I was going to wear a kind of variegated pink poncho over my shoulders because it's a sleeveless dress, and our wedding's in February, so it's not going to be that warm, even though we'll be indoors. And Randy was kind of hinting at wanting me to wear something white. Now, granted, we have been a couple for nearly 19 years, so it seems a little strange to want to wear white to your wedding. But on the other hand, white kind of symbolizes a new beginning. So I knew I had some yarn of the right color, and I will show you that. This is for a project I thought I was going to do. So it's not quite white. It's more of an off-white. Hopefully, I don't know if that's showing true in the camera. And it's a cashmere, to take the label out. I got it from Colormark from the United Kingdom. So it is a DK weight. It's cashmere merino. And each cone has 150 grams or 430 meters. So, which is quite a lot. I chose crochet because I crochet a heck of a lot faster than I knit. I've been crocheting since I was 5, which was a really long time ago. So this is called the Agnes Shawl. And I found it on Ravelry. It's not a particularly popular pattern, and maybe because it's crochet and a lot of, I feel like there's a lot more knitters. It's the Agnes Shawl by Emily Johans, I think. It was, one of the things I liked about it was written with standard American terminology, and I'll show you what it's going to look like, but let me show you how far I've gotten so far. And I cast this on, I thought it was Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. So this is what I've been working on for the last several days. And here it is. So it's a, this is the top. This is where you start. And it is, once it blocks out, I think it's going to grow. I hope it does. So it's a series of double crochet, chains, and single crochets. And that pattern repeats. So, I'm down here in section 7, and there's 8 sections before you do the border. So this is what it looks like once it's all blocked. So I think it's going to look great with that dress. Like I said, I'm on section 7, so I kind of expect to get through. I expect it to take maybe another week. As you can see, as I'm kind of modeling it, as it were, it's going to have some nice coverage, even if it doesn't end up as big as what's in the picture. That's totally fine. So, and it's one I can wear again. So I'm really excited about it. Like I said, this is DK weight. It's a cashmere, 30% cashmere, 70% merino. And I am using a 6mm crochet hook. So it's going along pretty swimmingly, but the pattern is very repetitive. So I think as I have more time, I am going to want to work on something else. So hence the, probably those, the vanillas and new black socks, since I'm pretty close to being done with those. So that's it for the knitting portion. Excuse me. Let's just catch up about this week, and I'll talk more about wedding planning and where we are. I've got my computer in my lap, so I'm gonna look at my notes. It has been kind of spring-like and sunny this past week, which has been really nice. It is starting to get cold though, so I think it was approaching freezing this morning, because I definitely felt it in my fingers when I was out in the barn especially picking up the yard. So all the seeds and whatnot that I optimistically started, in the last couple weeks, probably are not going to do much, but so we'll see. It's going to take them a long time to germinate, and that's okay. My indoor plants have the seeds have sprouted. I'm going to be ready to harvest the microgreens here soon. So maybe, I don't know, maybe dinner tonight, maybe for lunch. I don't know. I have been harvesting greens that have overwintered so far. So, and in fact, I harvested some chard, and I'm just picking a little bit, some chard, some sorrel, which is a kind of a lemony flavor, some red vein sorrel, which is kind of spinachy, some red mustard that have leaves like as big as my face, or even longer, maybe 2 of my face length, and then some chard. And as I was cleaning them, I did notice like a little slug. So I am going to welcome this colder weather, because it's going to get rid of some pests. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start thinking about pest control strategies already. Let's talk about the horses some more. So the horses are still separated. You probably saw that. Well, maybe you didn't see it because it was still too dark. Horses are still separated. We are still on the journey of discovery to figure out what is going to help Odin with his lameness. We suspect that it's arthritis because the expensive glue-on shoes that he had put on last Saturday didn't help him. I did a video of him trotting, and he was worse. So I shared that with my farrier. I shared that with my vet and my farrier. My vet was very busy, didn't get back to me until yesterday. But my farrier saw it, and she came over and she pulled him. She said, these are not going to work for him. It's making it worse. She thought that there was just too much support. So that kind of rules out the thin sole theory. I mean, they are barely thin. But one thing my farrier said as she was putting on the glue-on shoes is that he has a nice digital cushion, which is near, if you know the anatomy of a hoof, they have a triangular shaped piece that's called a frog, and it's soft. It's kind of softish tissue. But she said he has a nice digital cushion. So she didn't think it was really thin soles, but we're going to keep doing what we think is best for him. So I'm going to go back to using positive reinforcement to help Odin accept getting medication, this really awful tasting medication in a syringe. So basically the strategy is you put like some molasses and then put the medicine, and then it gets another dose of molasses at the end. So, and I may even do the second dose of molasses in a separate syringe. So I'm going to start practicing without the medication today, and if that goes as well as it did when I stopped doing it, then I'm going to start giving his medication tonight, and that should take, so I have to administer the medication twice a day for I think 4 days, and then I can do another video of him, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. My vet called me today and gave me all sorts of options, some positive, negative, depending on the route that we're going, how invasive or non-invasive. So it was really pretty overwhelming. So hopefully she'll send me an email with that information so I can read it and digest it, and then we can work together from there. Bragi worked with my trainer last week, and it was clear that he'd been off a couple weeks, but we reviewed exercises that he had been doing well. I practiced with him this week. He was very snorty, so I had to work with him until he was not snorty. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to do today. I'm going to see what my trainer thinks. And then we'll go from there, and I'll catch you up next week. And because he's been very snorty, when he startled, I start doing jumping jacks, and that's part of the strategy to help him deal with his emotions, which might sound a little counterintuitive, but it's giving him more emotional fitness. So if I do something startling, like jumping jacks, for instance, first he snorts, and then he's like, oh, okay, that's not a big deal. That's not a threat. So that's why I keep doing surprising things. I have been dropping things intentionally. I had like garbage can lids, stuff like that, which is very loud. So, just if he is eventually going to be my main riding horse, which, I hope it doesn't mean that we're going to retire Odin here anytime soon. I just need him to be a little bit more responsible for his emotions. So Dad, he was in the hospital still in the hospital last week. He was discharged back to the nursing home, I want to say the day before yesterday. So he's medically stabilized, which I have heard that before, so pardon me if I feel a little bit skeptical. I'm not sure how they're going to continue to manage what he needs medically in the nursing home that is satisfactory to keep him there. So naturally, his wife is really excited about that. She is thinking that is progress, that maybe he'll get to go home. He's not strong enough to stand on his own or do anything else on his own, so that is still going to be a long journey ahead. So I think we're just prepared to support him in that. I have been watching Lucinda Green, who is a British event rider. She had her athletic heyday in the 1980s. I believe she was on the Olympic team, and she has done some very high-level competitions. So watching those to prep for riding again, it's been very informative, and there's a ton of other exercises and stuff to do that I look forward to doing. Some of them I'm not going to be able to do until I get back in the saddle. Some of them, I think there's a Pilates course, some exercises I can try. I've never done Pilates before. I like yoga, I like bicycling, I like those kinds of things. So hopefully I can add Pilates to my toolbox. Wedding planning. So last Saturday, our officiant drove up, and we had like a quick meeting about, well, I mean, he was here for at least an hour, about how we want things to go. So, we just said we would just, if it's a 5-minute ceremony, that is just fine with us. So we were going to have it in front of the French doors where the Christmas tree is now, which I will try to pop a picture of where the Christmas tree is, just for reference. But we are going to turn it so that it is facing a different direction, because there's probably going to be too much reflection for photographs, which brings me to the photographer. A photographer is a good friend of mine. I mentioned before, she specializes in more micro nature photography, like moss and lichens and slugs and insects and stuff like that. But she's very good with the camera, and so she's going to do that for us, and I have reassured her totally fine if all the photos come out to be bloopers. We're not planning on what people normally do with wedding photos. I don't know. Maybe hopefully there's a nice one that we can frame and send to our friends and family for Christmas. I don't know what we're going to do yet. Or at least post them on social media. Which reminds me, I need to take my Instagram handle off of my notes here, because I deleted Instagram and Facebook off my phone and haven't checked them. Part of that, I just noticed my blood pressure was increasing a lot, and seeing the doom scrolling is not helping. So I've been monitoring my blood pressure in the morning. It's definitely gone down since then, and I've also noticed that it improves if I have done yoga the day before. So that's kind of interesting coincidence. Both of those, I still consider them coincidences, because correlation is not causation. What else? We are getting our marriage license this afternoon, I think. We have to go down to the courthouse down in the nearest big town, which is, I think, at least 20 miles south of us. So we'll see if we do that today or we wait till next week. And Randy's sister is going to cater for us. She does a great job of putting together like charcuterie and, little kind of cocktail snacks and stuff like that. So we are going to offer wine and beer and maybe a little champagne. So those are our plans. Still trying to figure out stash down plans. So I watched an episode of Nitty Natty Love in Stitches this morning, and I need to go back and revisit what some of her bundles are for using the little tiny bits and pieces. So I think she knits a lot of blankets, so I suspect that a lot of that will be blankets. That's all I have for now. So I think I am going to rip out my shawl, and not the wedding shawl, the Wildwood shawl, and look for a different pattern to knit with that yarn. So that is it. Have a great week, and I hope that you have some fun plans ahead of you. Take care, everyone.